Tim want to be like that boy so bad, bro. I promise you. You could tell, bro. He want to be like Von so bad. 5 years done passed, bro. 5 years. And you still talking about somebody you done popped 5 years ago? You want to be that boy, bro? It gotta be, bro. Ain't no way you still supposed to have this man's name in your mouth after 5 years, bro. You still bragging on somebody that you done killed on accident?
What's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into some serious street politics that's been brewing for years now. Lil Tim just dropped another track, and once again, he's got King Von's name in his mouth. 5 years later, gang. We're talking about his latest bars, where he's still throwing shots at a man who can't even respond, and how Oblock members are ready to crash out over this disrespect. Let me break down everything that's happening in this situation, from the lyrics to the reactions, and why this whole thing might be karma coming full circle. Let's get into it. So Lil Tim just dropped this track called PSA with OLG 8 Iggs, and Shorty really thought he was spitting some fire. But let me tell you what caught everybody's attention. These specific bars that got the whole internet talking. He said, "Ask about me in my city, I'm known for sending demons to hell." And then followed it up with biggest smacker turn a crazy story to fairy tale. Now, for those who don't know what Tim really meant by these lines, let me break it down for you real quick. When he's talking about sending demons to hell, that's a direct shot at King Von, no cap. See, Von was known throughout Chicago and the drill scene as being a straight demon. That was his whole persona. The man was feared in the streets, had bodies on his name, and wasn't playing no games when it came to that street life. So when Tim says he's sending demons to hell, he's basically saying he took out the biggest demon in Chicago. The second bar about turning a crazy story to fairy tale is even more disrespectful when you really think about it. King Von was literally known for his storytelling in his music. Tracks like Crazy Story, Took Her to the O, and War With Us, where he would paint these vivid pictures of street situations. Von had this unique ability to rap about real street scenarios in a way that felt like you were watching a movie. So when Tim says he turned the crazy story to fairy tale, he's basically saying he ended the man who was telling all these real street stories and turned them into just fantasy, because Von ain't here to tell them no more. But here's what's really wild about this whole situation. It's been 5 years, gang. 5 whole years since that night in Atlanta when everything went down, and this man is still talking about it like it happened yesterday. You gotta ask yourself, why is Tim still bringing up King Von's name in 2025? The truth is, without that situation, there would be no Lil Tim. Before that night, nobody knew who this man was. He was just Quando Rondo's homie from Savannah, moving in silence. But after he pulled that trigger and took out one of Chicago's most notorious figures, suddenly everybody knew his name. That shooting gave him a level of street credibility and notoriety that he never would have had otherwise. Now, Tim did beat the case, and he got lucky as hell with that, for real. The whole situation was ruled self-defense because Von and his crew did jump on Quando first. The video evidence showed that Tim was protecting his mans, and legally, he was in the right. But just because you beat a case, don't mean the streets forgot what happened, and Tim knows this, which is why he keeps bringing it up. It's his claim to fame, his one moment of relevance in this game. But Oblock members ain't having none of this disrespect, and they've been making that clear. After this song dropped, you had multiple people from Von's side speaking out about how they ready to slide on Tim. These dudes been waiting for their opportunity to catch him slipping, and every time he opens his mouth about Von, it just adds more fuel to the fire. The crazy part is, Tim knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that every time he mentions Von's name, it's gonna get a reaction from Oblock. He knows it's gonna get people talking, get his name trending, and maybe get him a few more streams. But what he don't seem to understand is that this type of clout chasing comes with real consequences in the streets. You got Oblock members on social media basically saying they ready to crash out over this disrespect. And when I say crash out, I mean these dudes ready to throw their whole lives away just to get back for Von. That's the type of loyalty and love they had for that man. Tim's music ain't even doing numbers like that. Even with all this controversy, even with him constantly name-dropping one of the biggest drill artists of all time, his views are still trash. The PSA video been out for a minute now and the numbers just ain't there. This man is literally dissing a dead legend and still can't get his music to pop off. That should tell you everything you need to know about his actual talent level. He's using Von's name as a crutch because he knows his music can't stand on its own. Without that controversy, without constantly bringing up that situation, nobody would be paying attention to Lil Tim at all. The only reason Tim got any type of relevance right now is because he's been riding NBA YoungBoy's wave. Ever since that situation happened, YoungBoy took Tim under his wing, probably because he knew it would be good for his own image, having the man who took out his ops homie in his circle. But even that association ain't helping Tim's music career the way he thought it would. YoungBoy's fans might rock with Tim because of the connection, but they ain't really checking for his music like that. He's more like a mascot than an actual artist in that camp. And you can tell that even YoungBoy probably be looking at Tim sideways sometimes like, bro, you still talking about this? The truth is, Tim thought that being around YoungBoy would automatically make him a star, but that ain't how this game works. You still gotta have talent, you still gotta make good music, and you still gotta have something to say besides, and Tim just don't got none of that. OTF Duty Low also spoke on this situation, and he basically echoed what a lot of people been thinking. He said Tim been clout chasing off Von's name for years now, and it's getting pathetic at this point. Duty Low pointed out that Tim don't got nothing else to rap about, so he keeps going back to that same well. What Duty Low said really hit different because he was close to Von and the whole OTF camp. When he speaks on this type of stuff, it carries weight because he knew Von personally. He ain't just some random person on the internet giving opinions. He was really in the trenches with these dudes. Duty Low also mentioned how Tim can't even come to Chicago because of all this dissing he been doing. And that's facts. Tim knows if he stepped foot in Chicago, it's gonna be problems. He been talking all this tough talk in his music, but he can't even visit the city where his biggest accomplishment got him famous. Speaking of Chicago, Tim really can't show his face in the city no more. Every time he drops one of these diss tracks, it just makes the target on his back bigger. You got people from Oblock, OTF, and just Von fans in general who would love to catch Tim lacking in Chicago. The man been talking all this gangster talk in his music, but he's stuck down south because he knows what would happen if he tried to pull up to Chicago. That's the difference between real street dudes and clout chasers. Real ones can go anywhere and handle their business. But Tim gotta hide behind security and stay in safe zones. And it's wild because Tim keeps dissing Von, but he can't even go to Von City to say it to his people's faces. That's some real coward behavior when you think about it. You talking all this tough talk about a dead man, but you scared to face his living homies. Now here's where this whole situation gets really deep, and some people might not like what I'm about to say, but it needs to be said. A lot of people been talking about karma in this situation and how what happened to Von might have been the universe balancing things out. See, Von was known for constantly dissing Tuka, a 15-year-old kid from Chicago who got killed back in 2011. Tuka was just a teenager when he lost his life, but Von made a whole career out of dissing this dead child. He would mention Tuka in almost every song, talking about smoking Tuka and even named weed strains after the kid. Now, I ain't saying Von deserved what happened to him, but you gotta understand the parallel here. Von spent years dissing a dead teenager who couldn't defend himself, and now Tim is doing the exact same thing to Von. It's like the cycle of disrespecting the dead just came full circle. Tuka was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's friend, just like Von was. And just like Von's people feel disrespected when Tim mentions his name, Tuka's people felt the same way when Von was constantly dissing their loved one. The difference is, Tuka was just a kid who got caught up in street politics, while Von was an active participant in the game. This whole situation really shows you how toxic this drill culture can be. You got grown men still beefing over situations that happened years ago, still dissing dead people who can't respond, and still perpetuating cycles of violence that don't lead nowhere good. Tim thinks he's winning by constantly bringing up Von's name, but really he's just showing how empty his life is without that one moment. He can't move forward, can't create his own identity, can't make music that stands on its own merit. He's stuck in 2020, reliving the same night over and over again because that's all he got. And the sad part is, this type of behavior just keeps the cycle going. Von's people want revenge on Tim. Tim keeps dissing Von to stay relevant. And meanwhile, more young people are getting influenced by this toxic mindset. Nobody's winning in this situation except maybe the record labels and YouTube channels that profit off the drama. At the end of the day, Lil Tim needs to find something else to talk about. For real, 5 years is way too long to be riding off one situation, especially when your music career ain't even taking off like you thought it would. The man is 30-something years old, still trying to get clout off a dead 26-year-old, and that's just sad when you really think about it. Oblock members gonna keep wanting smoke with Tim as long as he keeps disrespecting Von's memory. Tim gonna keep bringing up Von's name because that's all he got. And the cycle gonna continue until somebody either gets hurt or finally decides to be the bigger person and walk away. But knowing how this street stuff goes, ain't nobody gonna be the bigger person. Tim gonna keep dissing, Oblock gonna keep threatening, and we gonna keep having these same conversations until something tragic happens. That's just the reality of this drill culture. It don't end until somebody's dead or in prison. What y'all think about this whole situation? Is Tim wrong for still dissing Von after 5 years? Should Oblock members just ignore him and let his career die naturally? Or is this just how the game goes? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button if this breakdown helped you understand the situation better. And subscribe for more content breaking down all the latest street politics and hip-hop drama. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.